There's something about rooting yourself in your own anatomy and physiology. It's like you're able to step back from a very clear mental perspective to make better decisions, to make sometimes less emotional decisions, but at the same time, things that feel heart-centered. You know, you're playing a guessing game in entrepreneurship around what you should and shouldn't do as far as where you should put your time and energy. What's the next thing in your business you should go for? How much time and energy should you put? Once I get to a point, and poker taught me this, once I get to the point where I'm tired, I'm making more emotional decisions based on how I feel instead of whether this is a good bet or not. And what I do is I say, hey, man, listen, you've worked on all this software stuff in your business all day. Take a break. And here's what I do. I go sit down, do a couple yoga poses, stretch out, maybe have a snack, a little bit of tea. And I come sit back down and I'm much more mentally able of tackling the challenges. To me, it's that whole thing about longevity. It's not about one hand. It's not about one poker tournament. It's about the entire game of life. How do you win it as a marathon? Like my goal is to be 80, 85 years old, maybe 100 and check out and basically be able to look back and think of all the friends, family, loved ones, all the people you helped with no regrets. A lot of people, they're just looking at, again, a single video, a single business decision, a single this, they had a bad day. And it's like, don't allow one day out of 365 like ruin the rest. Especially if, again, you're making bad business decisions because you're being overly emotional or jeopardizing your mental, emotional, or psychological health. To me, it's very long. Like, to me, it's like, what's the downside of taking a break and like pondering, hey, is this a good decision before we do this? I don't see a downside to that sort of strategic thinking.
There is no downside. And what I've found is that people don't see it that way. There isn't a downside, and people don't realize it because they see danger. They see danger and shame, and they get to notice how fearful they are of the future. When people stop, they tend to first just feel bad that they stopped. Even if they told themselves that they need a break, a lot of times, they run into this problem where they just can't cope with it. And I mean, the way you described it, I think it is the right way to go. I think that works, and I don't think there is a downside. But with the people that I've worked with over and over again, it's almost an impossibility at the beginning. And what I found is we view rest as a guilty pleasure. We view rest as, and I don't mean you and me, I'm saying like this problem is we find ourselves viewing rest as the pleasant thing, the cookie and the cookie jar. But the reality is, a guilty pleasure is something that you do even if you don't want to do it. And people that are ambitious and working really hard, they tend to not want to rest. There are some people that all they ever want to do is lay around, for sure. But I've noticed there's a really large section of the culture that really does want to go get something done, and they're excited about doing it. And that group, they think that rest is a soft, gentle, nice, recuperative, fun thing. They describe it that way. But in actuality, they don't have a desire to do it. So what I've been saying lately is, for some people, you want to think of rest as one of the more difficult things you could do. Like, rest is the task. Rest is the job. And work is the play. Because, well, you work all day long. Work is the thing that you want to do. And yeah, you can use the excuse of like, yeah, well, I need to pay the bills and this and that and the other. But the reality is like most people have wired their reward systems to get to the point where they want to push. So if you want to push, then pulling back and resting is the task. And you have to turn it into almost like you have to classify it in your mind as the right thing, or you won't do it, I've found. And then when people classify it correctly, they realize, oh, wait, no, this is something that I don't want to do. But if I tell myself to do it and I recognize that I don't really want to do it, I can muster the discipline to do it. Because most people think that they need to apply, most people that are in this particular culture, most people think they need to apply their discipline to their work. But the reality is, like, you take people like you and me, we are happy to apply our discipline to our work. We want to make the best things we can possibly make. And we will happily invest as much of our energy as we possibly can into creating that thing. So there's sometimes more desire on that end than there is on the rest side. And I've found that this seems to result in people being really drained and not being able to operate at the level that they could.